our communities and appreciate the importance of community to the health and well-being of all its members. Today I wish to bring to the attention of members a wonderful community initiative in the small west coast town of Rosebery. The Rosebery Community House has this year published its first community keepsake, and this is the book that I have with me today. The community keepsake was launched on the 18th of February 2016 at the opening of the Rosebery Arts and Craft exhibition at the Rosebery Community House. 85 people attended to present to see the book launch and be in excited anticipation. The Community House have told me that their keepsake is all about celebrating the connections within the community. They say, we are here, we have a shared experience, yet we all have our own unique stories. The community keepsake celebrates these stories. The stories were prepared by Turk McDermott, Kerry Maguire, Bob Gill and Lynn O'Grady, and what a stellar job they've done. They tell the story of people from within the Rosebery Taylor community that are both proudly born on the West Coast and those who have come to be part of their community from around the world. The keepsake uses words to paint a picture of 16 people from the Rosebery community. Staff at the Community House told me that they know this publication has only skimmed the surface of the stories of the local community, and that is why they're already planning on a second keepsake. And for me, as the elected member of this area, it's very exciting. The first edition was made possible through a grant from the Community Support Levy and with assistance from the staff of Anglicare Tasmania. The feedback from the community has been roundly positive. The Community House is constantly being asked when the next edition will be available and who will be in it. The book is currently being sold for only $5 in an attempt to cover the costs of the next edition. To date, 165 copies have been sold. Perhaps one of the most moving passages in the keepsake, and a rather topical passage given some of the abhorrent comments made by federal members in recent debates, comes from a courageous young lady from Rosebery, and I quote, "Miss Benson asked my parents to come to the school. Mum and Dad found out what was been happening, and when we got home we were able to talk further. I could see the anguish in their eyes. My little brother had heard rumours about me at school, and he had defended me about some horrible things other students were saying. I told my brother the truth. I sensed his confusion and his shame because my shame became my shame for a while. This was at a time when I could not protect my little brother. It broke my heart. Being honest about yourself can leave you to be vulnerable to attack. I guess it is inevitable in small towns that people will delight in gossip and rumour. My sexual preferences were discussed by my peers, and there has been an element of bullying. In saying that, there has also been an element of support. At a hockey game, one of my competitors insulted me in an attempt to put me off my game by making references to my sexuality. This behaviour was challenged by my teammates and the league. I finally felt supported by my community. I'm happy for my story to be here. I'm still finding my way in life, but I know that loyalty must also extend to yourself. I expect nothing less of myself." End quote. Mr. President, that story is both a tragedy and a light on the hill of hope. A tragedy in the torment of a young lady, but hope for a brighter picture for her loved ones and her community. Others whose stories are noted in the book also speak about the importance of community and the supportive nature of the West Coast, particularly the Rosebery community. With Sam Moore saying, "Rosebery has always provided many freedoms within a protected environment for children to grow, flourish and become independent. I'm saddened that our community is shrinking and that we as a family will have to move one day. Rosebery is a part of us and will always be home." Turk McDermott wrote about the things that have changed over time in the Rosebery community, and Turk's quite an avid writer. I just want to read a couple of sections that he wrote in his section. And he was reflecting on times past. Under the heading, "It's in life when I was young," he said, "Then, smoking was allowed in bars. Women were not. To be allowed into the ladies' lounge, women were required to be approved by the proprietor's wife, and only if their husband was agreeable, and only if they sat quietly and behaved themselves. To be drunk, to fight, to argue, to sing, or otherwise conduct themselves disgracefully, men were required only to be breathing." And then, reflecting on then and now in Rosebery, then there was no speed limit on the narrow, unfinished roads outside the town boundary, and it was common to travel at 100 miles an hour, 160 kilometres per hour that is, if your car could do it. Now, people complain that the 100-kilometre speed limits 60 miles per hour are too high, and the new, wider and much improved roads are hard to handle. Go figure. And then people who retire from the mine were then required to leave town because no one wants to retire to a mining town Now, people are coming from all over the country to retire in our wonderful town. It just shows how things change over the time. So, Mr. President, this is only a very small glimpse of the many other moving and informative stories contained within this special keepsake. I would encourage all members of this place and the other house too to contact my office to arrange a copy of the books for themselves to help fund the future edition. It is a heartwarming account of one of our state's most remote communities, and one I'm always proud to represent.
The honourable member for Epsom.